Thank you, Jane. I'm going to be different. I'm unique. I'm probably the only person here who managed to cut the tomato and spray themselves. You can tell Jane didn't. A white dress, that would really show. I'm also different in I'm probably the only person here who's not with a company who's got a mine or trying to get a mine. And the only company here that actually has revenue and projected positive earnings, already a producer, so already a producing asset. But a little bit about QPM. Our main business is the Townsville Energy Chemicals Hub project, which is going to produce a lot of battery materials. And we've heard about the growth in lithium, and the same applies to graphite and cobalt and nickel. It is gargantuan. And your Little Rock SUV owners that we heard about, I sat in an electric Hummer in Detroit last year because General Motors are one of our investors. Now, a 4-ton electric Hummer that does 0 to 100 in 3.2 seconds. Has the turning circle of a small sedan. It's unbelievable. So the gas guzzlers are converting to the electric Hummers. As part of our development of the nickel cobalt business, we've also just become a gas producer. We purchased the Moranbah gas project to secure our gas supply. That asset is a current gas producer, and its projected earnings this time next year are almost 200 million in revenue and more than 50 million in EBITDA. We're expanding that gas production to secure the gas supply to the Townsville Energy Chemicals Hub project. And that is going to be an advanced manufacturing facility to produce the high purity nickel and cobalt materials and some other byproducts. It has, and you can write this down, it has the world's best ESG of any nickel cobalt project by a long way. I've been the head of processing for Rio Tinto and for BHP. This project is negative carbon. That's an ISO independent verified negative carbon number. It has 0 solid waste and it has 0 process liquid discharge, all fully recycled. I've never seen a project in my 40 years that's got more than one of those 3. And that's in part led to backing from some of the biggest off-takers. So General Motors, LG Energy Solution and POSCO are investors in us, and we have binding offtake agreements with them, and that's a pretty good platform to build a business. So our recent acquisition of the Moranbah gas project's been transformational for QPM and for the tech project. Not only has it firmed our gas supply, but there's excess gas production that is available that we are producing and growing that allows us to have a very positive earnings company, our wholly owned subsidiary asset. It also, through the Townsville Power Station, at that excess gas we supply to them, it also gives us a unique play into the electricity market. So the gas is a stranded asset. There's an existing pipeline that goes from the Northern Bowen Basin to Townsville, and it's not connected to the East Coast gas network. But guess what? The electricity grid is connected. So we supply gas to the Townsville Power Station. We own the electricity rights and all the revenue that comes from that. And so we are already generating revenue today from the pretty tragic grid instability problem that there is, the grid reliability problem, and from the peak electricity price that's available, which is only getting worse and worse. Queensland alone, and these are not my numbers, they're the Queensland government numbers, needs 3.2 gigawatts of gas turbine firming power. That's Queensland government specified gas turbine firming power, 3.2 gigawatts by 2032. It's a mess. But for those who have a partial solution to that mess, you make money. So, why should you have an interest in QPM? Well, firstly, world-class shareholders, General Motors, LG Energy Solution and POSCO. They're investors and they're off-takers. We are in a growth market. We've heard a lot about the growth market. Everything that you've heard is exactly right. And the growth market in particular for countries like Australia and for projects like ours is very ESG sensitive. In 2026, you walk into the showroom in Frankfurt, scan the QR code on your car, and it'll tell you where all the components have come from, the greenhouse gas intensity, how you treat traditional owners, gender diversity, everything. It's already there. Those metrics are there. The legislation is in place 2026. So clean production is very important. Because right now there are EVs driving around with 50 kilograms of nickel in their battery pack sitting on the top of 5 tons of tailings dumped in the Pacific Ocean. But nobody knows. 2026, the transparency is there. We are not just a development company. We are a producing asset. We have a great management team who've got a track record of delivering in predecessor companies and continuing to do so in QPM. We are vertically integrated. Our ore supply is from New Caledonia, which is the highest grade nickel laterite resource in the world. It's 30% higher than the nickel laterites that are being produced in Indonesia and by China at the moment. The ore in New Caledonia is known as ore fatal, fatal ore, despite it being such a high grade, because they export, for the geos in the room, the bottom half of the ore, saprolite, they export that to the smelters. The top half is limonite, and it's not easy to produce unless you know how to operate an HPAL plant like the Chinese do in Indonesia or Murrin or something like that. So it's a nuisance product for them. We take that, highest grade in the world, 1.6% nickel, 0.2% cobalt. So we're vertically integrated. We've got mining binding agreements, and they are investors in us, so they are partners. We have gas supply and production and sales. And lastly, through the tech project, we have binding offtake agreements for all of our nickel and cobalt production, and that's with GM, POSCO and LG. So our market cap at the moment's 120. Our enterprise value is only 65, and we've got an EBITDA of more than $50 million a year this time next year. So pretty attractive. Thank you very much.